Willie D Live.
What's up, family? By now, you've heard of Chud the Builder, right? This is the uncivilized mutt who goes around antagonizing Black folks. He tries to provoke them into a confrontation by calling them the N word. And when they give him some type of reaction, he says that they are chimping out. So this fool is in jail right now for attempting to murder a Black man who he accosted and provoked into a confrontation. He's sitting in jail right now on a $1.25 million bond. Actually, they lowered the bond to $1 million. So he's in jail right now trying to get out. He has a GoFundMe with over $250,000, which is more than enough to pay to cover the 10% needed on the bond. But the judge will not allow him to use those funds from his, it's not a GoFundMe, it's a Send, Give, Go, I think is what it's called. The judge will not allow him to use those funds to bail out. So he's sitting and hoping like hell that nobody opens that jail cell and let them boys up in there to have their way. Having said that, this uncivilized mutt has influenced a new following of people who behave like him. Yeah, copycats. They're out there. They're trying to get noticed. They're trying to get recognition. They're trying to get some notoriety so they can get them some easy, free money from the other uncivilized mutts out there who love funding and rewarding bad behavior. So check this out right here, fam. I edited the video so that YouTube wouldn't flag it for graphic content. But watch what happens. This guy that I'm about to show you allegedly used the N-word, and it didn't go so well for him. Check it out.
Say nigga again.
Yeah, fam, it was quick. Didn't take long. Didn't take long at all. Here we go again. Let me roll that beautiful bean footage. You can see him running off at the mouth. You can see him. You can see him. Look at him.
Say nigga again.
Yeah, that's crazy, fam. That's wild. Hopefully the concrete is all right. Yeah, man. So you have these type of people out there, fam, that's really corroding American society. It's no other way to put it. This country is going to hell in a handbasket. These uncivilized mutts, they have zero shame. They have zero class. Who raised them? Uncivilized mutts. They get it from their mammies and their pappies, because people who have respectable parents wouldn't carry themselves in that manner. They wouldn't taint the family name like that. These are uncivilized mutts, possibly raised by single mothers, or, left to their own devices from the time that they were 13, 14, 15 years old. And they don't know how to behave like civilized human beings. Now, the dude who dropped him, he could have did a lot more damage. He could have did a whole lot more damage. He could have really, really did him dirty. Like, once he dropped him, he could have stomped him out. That's a normal thing these days, right? Well, it's always been a normal thing, but you see a lot of that often after somebody already got the win in. They got their opponent immobilized, what would they say, neutralized. They neutralized the threat, and they just keep welling on the person. But this guy, he showed him some mercy. Mercy that had the shoe been on the foot, I don't believe he would have been afforded. Now, there are people that are saying, man, y'all got to stop reacting to somebody just using words. You know, there's an old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a lie. Words do hurt. If you think I'm lying, talk to any psychologist about, you know, people being talked to in a very negative manner growing up. Your parents tell you you're a loser. Your parents tell you you disappoint them. They say, I never wanted you. I wish you wasn't born. All of that type of stuff. They call you a loser, a failure. Yeah, those words hurt. Those words hurt in elementary, middle school, high school, when you're being bullied. And you carry those scars into adulthood. So people like to say that words don't hurt when it's convenient. Yeah, words do hurt. Words do hurt. That's why, you know, anybody with common sense knows that if you really care about something or you care about someone, that you measure your words. You make sure that you use the type of language that will uplift them and not bring them down, right? You know, when you greet people in public, you know, the average person, when you're greeting somebody, you say, hello, you know, good morning, good evening, right? You know, how you doing? Stuff like that, right? You don't greet a person with, what's up, old bitch? You know what I mean? That ain't how you talk to people. Hey, you know what I'm saying? You don't talk to strangers like that. Yeah, because we know words have meaning. Words have consequences also. So you can talk all that old First Amendment rights stuff all you want to. But words have consequences. That First Amendment was never meant for you to go around antagonizing people and using racial slurs, even though slavery was extremely active when they wrote it. But the First Amendment, free speech, was never meant for you to just go around antagonizing people. It was meant for people to be able to voice their opinions about the government, to be able to criticize the government without fear of retribution, without fear of being ostracized, without fear of being jailed or killed. Yeah, that's what it was meant for. That is what the First Amendment was meant for. But over time, people start using it in a way that was convenient for them. So that's how people do it. Whatever way is convenient for them, that's the way they want to use the First Amendment. So it's like, you know, being in the group, the Ghetto Boys, we fought for a lot of the rights that the artists have today. We fought for a lot of those rights. Us, Two Loud Crew, NWA, you know, for whatever you want to think about any of those groups, you know, without us, then freedom of speech, it ain't what it is. You know, you don't have the freedom of speech. I'm talking about in regards to art. We're talking about art, freedom of speech and art, right? Well, these people today, what they do is some people go too far with the so-called freedom of speech, and you know, they target some of our heroes. I've heard rappers use Martin Luther King and MLK name in disparaging ways. We never did that. When we exercised freedom of speech, I know Ghetto Boys, it was the right for us to say what we wanted to say about this raggedy ass corrupt government, you know, to be able to call these fools out and say what we wanted to say. And also to keep it a buck, to be able to call a B a B, a H a H, a MF a MF, a son of a SOB a SOB, you know, and also to be able to use words that were not that were vulgar but not scientific. You know what I'm saying? So the freedom of speech thing is a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing, but we all know how far to go with that. We all know how to get right when it comes to freedom of speech, because you have the freedom. You have the freedom of speech to cuss if you want to, but everybody knows that that's not going to fly in a courtroom, right? You go in the courtroom and you start cussing in front of the judge, it's going to be a problem. If you're on trial and you got a jury over there judging you, they're going to judge you on your behavior. And if you just bust out cussing, they're going to be like, yo, there's something wrong with this guy right here. Maybe he did do it. So there's always consequences. So there's freedom of speech, but there's also consequences. So that's where the word discernment comes in. We all have to have a level of discernment, and we do have a level of discernment. Even Chud the Builder has a level of discernment, because I can guarantee you he's not in jail telling those black dudes in jail that they're chimping out. I can guarantee you he's not in jail using the N-word, because he ain't got no access to guns in the jail. Yeah, he ain't got no access to guns behind those bars. The same laws that work in the free world don't work in jail. Ain't no police officer coming to save him in jail. If them boys get their hands on his ass in jail, it's a wrap. This is why they do everything they can to avoid jail. They would rather die than go to jail, because if they go to jail, and especially if they're like him with his attitude, and they come in there where their reputation precedes them, and we know exactly who he is and what he said and done. Oh man, they're gonna light his up. He's done. He's cooked. So I can guarantee you he's in PC right now. I can guarantee you he's in PC. Ain't no way. And especially if you come across a cat like me. Ain't no way we gonna let him make it. Nah, man. We gotta make contact. Yeah, he got to get this work. So all of these little knockoffs and these copycats, they're gonna find out the hard way too. Words have consequences. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.